Okay, so this video is not going to be so much a tutorial as just kind of somewhat instructional and just basically showing off my new knife that I made and giving you some tips on how to do it yourself. So this is my homemade deer antler gut hook knife. This did take me a while to make, not gonna lie. This was hard to make, mainly because I just was kind of cob jobbing it as I went and I really had no idea what I was doing, but it actually turned out pretty good. So basically, went to Walmart, got a $10 Remington gut hook knife, and brought it home, and then I realized that I had an old deer skull that I don't know, I think my dad found it in the woods a while back that he just kept. So we had an old deer skull with the antlers still on, and I was just thinking it would be kind of cool to make a knife out of it. So I started off with I cut it. I think I had the original antler over there. So I cut the base off of it. About, I don't know, this thing's probably 5 inches long, 6 inches long. Cut it at the base straight across. And then, I probably shouldn't have done this, but what I did was I took like a circular saw and just cut a slit straight down. And basically what that did was, what I was trying to make it do was create a hole for the bottom of this thing. It's called the tang of the blade to slide down into. Then I realized that wasn't really going to work, so what I had to do was I took a drill. I drilled straight down a hole, circular hole straight down to probably down to about here. And then what I did was I sharpened the edges of the tang, and I basically banged it down with a hammer until it was like really tight. And then I eventually squeezed some epoxy in there to let that set. But before I did that, you see I had that bolt through there. Sorry, the focusing isn't really working. You see I have that bolt through there with the two washers on each side and the nuts. That was actually a pain. This is really just, this is a made in China stainless steel knife, and I could not drill through the damn thing. I went out to Tractor Supply, bought $6-7 cobalt steel drill bit meant for drilling through stainless steel, and it didn't even make a dent on the thing. So I was getting pretty fed up with that, so eventually I just took it to the grinder and basically cut a slit instead of a hole, and then was able to turn the bolt through that. It was wide enough to turn the bolt through that. Then I had two nuts on each side and tightened each of them down. So that's that's probably the main support structure, is that bolt going through. And then, like I said, I have the tang down pretty far with a pretty strong epoxy in there. And then I was didn't really look quite right yet, so I decided to make a guard out of another piece of the antler. So this is just one of the points on the antler. What I did for that was I cut a slit right down the middle of it with a small width blade circular saw, and I put the blade in there and banged it down so it was nice and tight. But there was still a gap. There is still a gap, actually, but there was a bigger gap. There's a bigger gap at the end there, and I was going to try to squeeze that shut. So I squeezed that shut with some epoxy in there, but when I released it from the vice grip, it just ripped right apart again, so the epoxy wasn't quite strong enough. So what I did was, I can't remember what those are called. It's like a little nail, basically, that it's like a rigid nail that you use to put two boards together. But I nailed one of those in there, and it actually ended up cracking a little bit on the side, but that actually came out pretty good. And then I just took some leather shoelace string and wrapped it around the top. But for an amateur, I mean, this thing is solid. That blade isn't going anywhere. Thing's solid. So for $10, I think it's pretty cool. I don't know. There's a lot better knife makers out there than me, but I think it's pretty cool. And it came with this, where is it? Came with a leather Remington sheath, so. It's pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Just thought I'd show that to you guys. Alright, well, thanks for watching. Hopefully you can I don't know, I guess everybody doesn't have deer antlers hanging around, but try it out. It's fun. Comes out a cool product.